In this policy address, there is nothing fancy in it, but I think that it is a pragmatic and far-sighted report. It highlights all these challenges ahead of us, and it proposes that we should stop and acts that would be detrimental to the investment market. And it is through the development of our economy that we can bring about better upward mobility and higher wages and better ability to deal with the older demographics and housing problem. I think the policy address is very comprehensive. It's all a question of whether we can implement the measures. Let me turn now to the insurance. There is a suggestion that shipping be developed, like shipping insurance and so on. We welcome this decision. We subscribe to the idea that this is a promising sector, but it is fraught with challenges. Like the PA said, the shipping maritime insurance does have certain scale, mainly for container trade. But the development room for development is rather limited. I think we have to move up the value chain, like shipping and other more specialized shipping insurance. And it does hold out a pretty good prospect. It's only in Europe, US, and Bermuda that they're offering this. We don't have the critical mass of talents. It is a highly specialized area. We do need to have the professional expertise for this. For us to develop the high value added maritime insurance, we do need to attract the international companies to set up the headquarters in Hong Kong, and then it will drive the development in this particular area. And they will then be able to lure a critical mass of talents into Hong Kong. To attract the international shipping company to Hong Kong, we need to offer tax incentive to incentivize them to come and invest in Hong Kong, to boost the development of high value added shipping insurance, and that will create more jobs for the young people. The other issue is the insurance authority. The legislation or the bill is about to be completed, but there are certain issues like the best interest and so on, the definition of that. We have consulted the UK authorities in order to strike the balance between the interests of various parties. The intermediaries are also concerned about the disciplinary action. The insurance authority will have a whole range of power, like the investigation and the handing down of penalty. The intermediaries are very concerned about the unfairness. We suggested that expert panels should be consulted for complicated cases. If the views differ between the experts and the insurance authority, there ought to be a clear explanation. This represents an important development for 30 years, and we have to tread carefully. As regards the protection fund for the policyholders, the government is still drafting the details. Now, the sector is concerned about the situation. We should learn from other jurisdictions regarding the withdrawal of the policy. Now, we have the progressive levy, and when necessary, the levy has to be increased. Like if there are insolvencies, the levies will have to be increased to make up for the expenditure. I hope that the levy threshold can be worked out in a way that would remove any uncertainties. And also, the risk-based consultation, I hope that the administration would be careful in recognizing the risks involved. There are so many small-time businesses. The government should implement the measures having regard to the situation in order to minimize the impact on the small-time businesses. The other thing I need to mention is to tackle insurance fraud. I mean, it's getting out of hand. I moved a motion the other day, and this is a very clear right and wrong issue, but unfortunately it was voted down. I'm afraid that we may be sending out the wrong message that the government is not vigorous enough to tackle insurance fraud. I heard transportation SMEs and insurance sectors expressing their displeasure over the motion being voted down. Notwithstanding that being voted down, I hope that the government would take on board my suggestion to plug the loopholes. One of the themes of the PA is to set aside $50 billion for retirement protection. I agree with the administration that there ought to be protection for the retirees, but I think we should confine ourselves to those who are in need. The costs will have to be borne by the members of the public anyway. It would be difficult to ask everybody to shoulder the burden. I agree with the fact that the retirement protection has to be means tested, but it can be a little bit more liberal than the existing welfare system, so that more people can benefit and the payout should be enough to support their retirement. The other area in the policy address is youth policy. I think the government is moving in the right direction. This is long-term policy. We have to have regard to the community situation and adjust the policy. I think it is important to promote economic development in order to help the young people so that more jobs will be available to them. Young people can find a lot of problems resolved if they can hold down a promising job. I think the ITB, Innovation and Technology Bureau, should be set up as soon as possible. These are the areas that the young people are most familiar with. I urge the Council to set up this ITB as soon as possible. Finally, turning to housing, the government has been proactively identifying land to build, to produce housing. But in many districts, the people are in opposition to changes to land use. I hope the members of the public would contemplate this. If we do not build enough housing, it would be difficult for us to have a stable society. If community interests are affected, then they should urge the government to devote resources to make improvements instead of getting in the way of housing production. As regards the VHIS, I leave it to the third segment. Thank you.